I'd like to talk about the Thor teaser. Obviously, I think you guys probably want my thoughts and feelings on it, and I've got quite a bit to say. All right, let's take a look at the Thor. I haven't even liked it. The Thor teaser, and I want to show you before we even get into this at all. I want to show you guys something. Okay, check who's top comment here. Me. 50,000 likes. So good, I'll like it myself. And this one, which, shout out to Natalie Portman. People weren't really feeling that. But if you're a longtime Key Issues fan, then you know, shout out to Natalie Portman. Michael Myers in chat knows we love her on this channel. She's a mainstay. But anyway, a little bit of a spoiler for what I thought of the trailer. Love the color in this. Absolutely amazing. So let's take a look at it. So, little baby Thor running through the woods. We have not seen baby Thor since Thor 1. And even then, that was just kind of like young Thor. We get him in like his classic outfit here, is sort of like in his adolescence. This is what Thor looks like in Journey to Mystery. Right? That's it, right? Let's take a look at him here. There it is. Journey into Mystery. Thor. We have the class. Look at it. It's perfect. It's classic. So I love that. Hopefully we get to, we have a scene with that, and it's not just this, like, this is the oneer. This is sort of Thor as we see him in the first Thor movie. God, I absolutely love this look for Thor. Holy shit. This is so good. I like Thor without the sleeves. In most cases, I was a sleeve guy at the beginning, but when you got the guns, show them off. This one's a lot more, honestly, it's a lot more toned down, besides the, like, fur around his neck area here. But I just think this look is so sick. And the blue one is going to be, like, his main one for most of the movie, but this one's so good. So good.
Now they're but humble tools for peace.
Okay, so first of all, this shot's amazing. What I'm really excited about is Thor's sort of journey of self-discovery, right? He's been an Avenger for so long. Let's go back even before the Avengers. Obviously, he was with his friends, the Warriors 3, Lady Sif, and Loki. They would run around the 9 realms, get into battles, do fun stuff, be rabble-rousers, in his youth. That was what he did. That was what he lived for. And he wanted nothing more than to be the king of Asgard. And then he was finally given that opportunity. He blew it, but then learned that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to be on Midgard. He wanted to be an Avenger. He wanted to protect the 9 realms. So that's what he spent his time doing, being an Avenger, cleaning up the 9 realms. We saw him on Vanaheim during Thor: The Dark World. And we know that he was helping bring peace back to the 9 realms as his time as an Avenger as well. And then, of course, he spent some time in space, on Sakaar. He went and tried to prevent Ragnarok. He did his best to do good, to be that, like, beacon of hope within the galaxy that people could look to, or at least within the 9 realms connected to the Yggdrasil, right? And then Thanos happened, and he failed. And Thanos killed half of all sentient life in the universe. A major failure for Thor. And then they were given an opportunity to possibly get some redemption. They found Thanos. They found the Infinity Gauntlet. Unfortunately, Thanos had destroyed the stones. Thor, in his rage, kills Thanos. And then from this point, he hits his lowest low, even lower than when he was unworthy, right? That was a low point for Thor, but he fought back. Lower than when his mother had died. Lower than when his father had died. Lower than when his brother Loki had died. This was Thor's absolute rock bottom, right? And he feels that he's unworthy. He feels that he's a failure. And the Avengers give him hope with their plan to go back in time. Thor clings to this hope, but still has self-doubt, still has anxiety, very human qualities that people can relate to. He was depressed. He fell into a deep depression. So, again, these are very relatable. But Thor was at his lowest moment, but wanted to still contribute, despite his depression, despite his self-doubt about his own worth, despite his anxieties. But he works through it. He speaks with his mother, who gives him, the words he needed to hear at that time. And really, to hammer it home, no pun intended, he calls Mjolnir to himself and learns that he is still worthy, which is a very triumphant moment during Endgame. So now he's gone through this entire journey as a superhero, and he doesn't know what to do now, right? And I think what we're going to see in this movie is he's going to give it a shot with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's going to see what it's like to be on this new team, explore places that he's never been to before, etc., etc. But I think he's finding that it's not something he wants to do anymore. He wants to take a step back, which I think is going to be amazing to see play out. Especially because Taika Waititi is co-writing this, and he had basically nothing to do with the script for the first film. But Taika Waititi, in my opinion, is a great writer. He's obviously a great director. You guys know, if you've been around for a while, am not a huge fan of Ragnarok. Okay, I'll just say it. I think the jokes are just really to the point where it's just too much. I think overall, like, the arc is good for Thor in that movie, but it's just a little much for me. And I think Taika being able to put his own humor in this, be more involved in the story, will result in a better product. I think Ragnarok is just, it's fine. It's okay. A lot of people really love it. I think it's just fine. Thor 1 is actually my favorite Thor movie, but I think this movie will probably surpass it. So, all that being said, I'm very excited for this new leg of Thor's journey. So there you have it. So, we're getting a ton of great shots. I'm going to have to mute this. So here we see Thor doing some training. I think this is going to be a great montage, because if you guys remember at the end of Endgame, Peter Quill was, like, feeling a little self-conscious. Or not Endgame, but, was it Endgame? Or Infinity War? One or the other. He was feeling a little self-conscious about himself. I think he and Thor will be working out together, kind of like trying to compete with each other, but obviously Thor is going to be outdoing him based on him being, like, Asgardian. So here we have Thor, trying to do the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing, sort of stepping on Peter's toes. But finding out, maybe this isn't what I want to do. Maybe I want to figure out something else. So he gets dropped off. A lot of people have been talking about this shot in particular. because it's framed very weirdly, right? So you have Korg on the right. Yo, check out Korg's pants, though. You have Thor here in the middle. And then on the left, there's this curious empty space. So people are like, who could that be? I personally haven't thought of it much. I mean, you guys can leave your, I guess, comments down below what you guys think. But, yeah, a lot of people are saying somebody's going to be here. They don't want us to know who it is yet. I mean, it could be Valkyrie. I don't know who it could be. It could be one of the Guardians. Definitely. Could be like Rocket and Groot. We know that Rocket and Groot are really close with Thor. Yeah, I don't know. Who could it be? We'll see. This July, some cool shots. Love this. This is supposed to be Olympus? Yeah? Or not? This is definitely Olympus, right? We see Zeus here. And the Olympians. I'm assuming these are going to be the Olympians. Some other gods here. I'm not going to even guess who any of these people are. Obviously, this is Russell Crowe, one of the all-time greats. Was in the DC Extended Universe, actually. He played Superman's father. But very excited to see him as Zeus in this movie. And also really interested to see his relationship with Thor. Considering that both of these characters are gods of thunder, if you will, or they control lightning, you know, they have the same powers, essentially, in that regard. Obviously, we're going to see what Zeus can do in this universe, but in the mythology, he can, of course, do much more than just control lightning and throw thunderbolts. So, is it going to be a situation where Zeus is like, I'm a real god, you know, this is sort of what we're about. We're prospering here on Mount Olympus. You know, the Aesir are all dead, pretty much. The half of them are still alive in New Asgard, but Asgard was destroyed by Surtur. We're prospering up here on Mount Olympus. So, I mean, who's the real god of thunder? I hope there's a little bit of a rivalry there. I think that would be fun. Or, I would even accept, like, a mentorship, but I doubt we'll get that. The sort of typical thing with gods in most universes, and this is true for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and I'm assuming will be true in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that they have massive egos. They do not get along very well with other gods, especially not other pantheons. Not many of them are very charitable, generous, or compassionate. They're very selfish, self-centered beings. So a fun rivalry between Zeus and Thor, I think, would be really interesting, especially if there's a situation where either or both of them have to come up against Gore the God Butcher. But let me get back to chat here. Everyone's saying I massive L for not loving Ragnarok. I'm sorry. I love parts of it, but overall, it's not my favorite MCU movie. Obviously, it's Morbius. Yeah, maybe. Beta Ray Bill, a lot of people calling for. Meek. Is Meek still alive? I don't even remember. Could just be Mighty Thor saved for the reveal. I think this moment is a little early to be Mighty Thor. I guess we'll figure out when we see her. But I think Thor is going to depart from the Guardians in like the first act of the film, and we're probably not going to get Jane Foster immediately. So obviously he's still wearing, like, I think this is early in the movie. So yeah, not Valkyrie or Meek. They're both in New Asgard. Yeah, as long as Meek survived the Endgame, right? Zeus is honestly just there to die and introduce Hercules. Possibly. We've already seen Ares. If you guys have seen my video on the gods of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we've already seen Ares in Ragnarok. So he could show up as well. Or he could be dead. He was a former champion of Sakaar. Thor would look to Zeus as what he can become but doesn't. He could possibly. I mean, he could see Zeus as like the gold standard for what a god is capable of, maybe in terms of power. I don't think he'll look to him as like another sort of father figure like Odin was. I mean, that's possible. I guess Zeus could sort of serve that role in some sort of capacity, but I think a friendly rivalry would be cool. Oh, Meek's in the trailer with Valkyrie? Okay. I don't love Ragnarok as much as I did a couple years ago just because I've seen it like 10 times. Yeah, I mean, Ragnarok's fine. It's just a lot of, it's just too many jokes, you know? I like the Shakespearean shit that Kenneth Branagh was into for the first Thor. I thought it worked very well and had a great story, especially with Loki and Odin. But anyway, I'm assuming this is Thor shooting out the Bifrost out of Stormbreaker. The blue outfit I'm not crazy about. I don't think it looks horrible. In the promotional images, it looked pretty bad. But yeah. Two homies. Love Korg, though. Korg's a great character. This is the shot that Chad was talking about earlier. I don't want to, go back and reiterate all that, but excited to see where the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes in terms of levels of the gods. New Asgard, looking just, oh my god. Let's take a look at this real quick. I just want to just highlight this for you guys. This is like the shot of New Asgard in Endgame, and this is the shot of New Asgard in this film, and it's just, oh my, we're moving past the fucking gray palette that we've been stuck with for like 2 phases now, and it's just so exciting. Like this is just so bad, man. It's just so flat and just gross looking. Whereas this is very vibrant and inviting, and I don't know. Like I get the vibe of it. The vibe of it is supposed to be sort of like drawing you in. You're like, oh, New Asgard, I can't wait to see that. And then it's just, it looks like shit. Anyway, I'm excited for colors. And what it really is just the emphasis of blacks. Forget the vibrancy of it, really. It's just the contrast. This is very like one tone, one note sort of looking, whereas this shot, you can, it just feels more tangible. Okay, so let's keep going. Where's Meek? Oh, there he is! He's got a little, look how cute he is. Look how cute he is. My God. What a good little guy. Looks like Valkyrie's not really enjoying her time. This shit sucks. This shit's boring. Why'd I ever agree to do this? That's what she's thinking. Okay, so yeah, this must be Olympus. Okay, so who is this here? Is this Valkyrie? This is Thor. This is Korg. Is this Zeus? Who is this big guy? This is Valkyrie, right? Is this the king? It's purposeful. Half the people dead versus not. Half the... I don't think any more Asgardians were snapped, because Thanos killed half the Asgardians on the ship and let half go. So I don't think he halved them again. Like, I don't think Thanos halved all the other planets that he's already decimated half the life of. So I don't think there's a quarter of the Asgardians left. But regardless, when you're going into New Asgard and Endgame, it's supposed to be hopeful. We're going to get Thor. It's Rocket Raccoon and Hulk going to a new place. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's sort of more of a drab vibe, but the Russos just make gray looking stuff. It's Civil War, you know. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but they don't utilize blacks properly. Anyway. Do you think this is Jane? So you're saying this is Valkyrie, Thor, Jane, and Korg? Maybe. 2 capes? I love this moment here. I wonder if James Gunn came in again and did some writing for the Guardians. I know he did the writing for the Guardians dialogue in Endgame and Infinity War. I'm curious to know if he did like a guest spot as a writer here. I also feel pretty strongly about the possibility of Thor being bi. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I think that would be cool. You know, the gods just being more, I guess, open with their sexuality than humans are. Anyway, that's the vibe I got from this little moment between him and Peter. I think that would be cool. And then obviously we get to the end here, and shout out to the GOAT herself, Natalie Portman. Love to see it. Yo, my girl looking kind of big, if I can say that. Got some guns on her. Mjolnir is back, reassembled. Interested to see what happens with that. I'm going to make an entire Mjolnir video after this movie comes out, but I've already written the script for everything but, you know, what's going to happen in this. And I think a lot of people are going to be very interested to sort of track the beginning to end of Mjolnir, because the MCU does things bit by bit, and it's kind of hard to see the forest for the trees, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of hard to see the entire story unless you take a step back and analyze it a bit more. So I'm interested to see what's going on with Mjolnir. How does she have it? How does she, you know, how is the MCU going to handle her ascension to godhood, essentially? The problem with the jokes in the trailers is I don't find them funny in the movie because I've seen it loads. Yeah, that is a problem for sure. Thor and Hercules shippers incoming. Maybe I'll ship them. I'm personally excited to see a queer Thor. I think it would be cool. I want Jane and Thor together. I mean, if Thor obviously is interested in women, but he can also be interested in men at the same time. Jane and Thor, I don't think are going to end up together, though. That would be my immediate reaction. Did Rocket give him a new eye? Yeah, a lot of people talking about his 2 blue eyes that he has now, because he had a brown one before. I would assume Rocket just got him a new one, right? Like, Rocket's into getting body parts and organs and shit. Hercules was bi in the actual mythology. Most gods were bi in the actual, in their mythologies. So, I wonder what happens with Jane in her future, or is this one and done? I hope it's not one and done. I'd like to see her stick around for a while. I wouldn't like her to get a spin-off series. I'm honestly have not been the biggest fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows so far. I just feel like they're not really committing to the like television format enough. Like most of them don't feel like there's enough to tell a story through however many episodes. Loki being like a big exception to that, but Hawkeye being the highlight of that. I think that shit should have just been a movie. No one wants a gay Thor, we just want a good movie. Well, multiple people in the chat already said that they would like that, so I think you're wrong. But those two things aren't mutually exclusive. We can have Thor can be bisexual, and we can get a great movie. So I don't see what you're not gonna get me saying MCU fucking woke mob. Okay, this is not that kind of channel. How do you think Jane will stack against the rest of the MCU in terms of power scaling? I think she's just going to fit right in with whatever they decide is the power level of the MCU moving forward for these types of characters. Like I was talking with Chad earlier. The Captain Marvels, the Thors, the Hulks, whoever is the most advanced Iron Man, whoever's going to take up that mantle. All of these characters are going to sort of be around. Vision, Giant Man. These kind of characters, I think, are all going to be similar in power. So wherever they end up stacking up, Jane's just going to fit right within that. So what I am a little bit disappointed in is them even showing us Jane in the trailer. I don't think it was necessary. I think it was kind of tacked on at the end. I love this teaser. I think it was perfect to show like what the vibe of the movie is going to be. They gave us enough to go on in terms of what's going to happen in the movie. What's the point? What are we even doing here? Obviously, we're going through Thor's journey of discovering what he wants to do with his future. He's sort of lost. He's become disillusioned with being a superhero, etc., etc. So we got everything we needed to see. I don't know that we needed to see Jane here at the end. I'm also pretty pumped we didn't get to see Gore at all. I'm one of the people that just show me enough to get me excited, and that's all I need to see. I'm not a guy that wants to see everything in the trailers. So yeah, I personally would have loved it if we didn't even see any of the villains in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailers, but the leaks were so rampant it was kind of impossible to avoid that. But I know initially they were going to sell it as like Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange the movie. Like that's what it was going to be sold as, and then when you went to see it, it was like, oh shit, Doc Ock's here, Green Goblin's here, Electro, Sandman, Lizard, and what? Sam Raimi? Andrew Garfield? Yeah, so imagine that. Like, you guys go into the movie, you have no clue any of these actors are coming back, any of these iconic characters are returning, and you see it for the first time on the screen. Like, come on. When do we get that anymore? Like, we got it with Cap and Mjolnir, and that's, like, the only thing I can remember them, like, not spoiling. Star Wars, Lucasfilm, under the same umbrella as the MCU, Disney, obviously, two separate production companies, Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios, but nothing leaks out of Lucasfilm. No one knew Luke Skywalker was going to be in The Mandalorian, season 1 or 2. Like, nothing leaks from the Star Wars movies. So, I don't understand what's going on here at Marvel Studios, but they just cannot get a fucking grip on their spoilers, man. Alright, let's get back to chat here. Imagine MCU Nick Fury goes to space so he can find the Watcher and kill him and attain his powers. That would be wild. Yeah, Johnny Blob, you got it. I can't stand that guy. Loki was really good. MK is good so far. I think the show's... Yeah, I mean, Moon Knight's been hit or miss for me, but I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it. I would say it's good. But Loki is, I think, the best, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. WandaVision was really good, and then they kind of fumbled it at the end there, and then Hawkeye I thought was just bad. Like, I thought Hawkeye was... Yeah, we don't really know what's going on with the hammer being reforged. We'll find out. The MCU doesn't necessarily always align with the comic books, so they could do whatever. Will Thor die in this movie or just disappear? I don't think Thor is gonna die. That would suck. If Iron Man, Thor, and like Cap are basically all dead. I mean, Cap, we don't know what the hell that guy's doing. But yeah, that would be sad. And Natasha, obviously. That's on Earth. There's a car in the background. There is a car in the background. That's true. You think Jane will be weaker or stronger than worthy Cap? Well, if Thor is stronger in this movie than he was in Endgame, then she will be stronger than worthy Cap. She-Hulk being as strong as Hulk, but not Jane to Thor because of his natural Asgardian. Well, in the MCU specifically, if you have the hammer, you're just as strong as Thor. No matter what. If you're a human, you're literally granted the power of Thor. So, and that includes his strength, speed, durability. We know this because when Thor was unworthy and he lost his powers, he was just a regular guy. And then when he got the hammer back, he was now a powerful Asgardian. So, the enchantment literally gives you Asgardian strength as well as the ability to use the hammer and lightning and all that. So if Jane has Mjolnir, then she is literally equal to Thor. So I guess that answers the question, does Jane get the powers of pre-awakened Thor or Thor's current status? It would be Thor's current status, just as Captain America. Because the enchantment is, you have the powers of Thor, not you have the powers of Thor when I made this enchantment. So it's pretty definitive. Gore could be the catalyst that brings us an all-out symbiote war with Null. Maybe. I mean, we don't know what's going on with Sony. I wouldn't say anything about that. I couldn't hazard a guess. I could be wrong, but I was hoping that this would be a more villain-centric movie with the hero's personal story kind of being the B-plot. Yeah, we're not getting that. Sorry. Based on this teaser, that ain't happening. The leaks are 100% intentional. I don't know if they are. Like I said, they wanted to sell Spider-Man No Way Home as Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man initially. I would say some of the leaks are intentional, but yeah, I don't think the leaks are being forced out there. If Cap takes Mjolnir back in time and puts it back in time, doesn't it get destroyed by Hela? How does Jane get it? Yeah, it gets destroyed. As you can see here, it's got the cracks. So it's just been reforged. We know it was destroyed, but somebody put it back together. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was in these chunks when Hela broke it. I mean, they don't... I don't know if you need to go out of your way to find the pieces. They were kind of just left on the ground there. Do you think Thor will get much stronger in this movie? Yes, I think he'll get a lot stronger. Welcome, Johnny Blob. Glad to have you here for your first stream. But yeah, that's what I thought of the Thor teaser. I thought it was great. I absolutely loved it. I'm really excited for this movie. Honestly, guys, if you've been in the live streams recently, you know I've been kind of down on the MCU, especially after the Batman came out. It's just like, you compare the Batman to what we're getting in the MCU consistently, and I was just like, we can be so much better. We were meant to live for so much more. You know what I mean?